fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Predacon Scorponok from the Transformers Studio Series line from Hasbro. This is from, of course, Transformers Rise of the Beast, and it is number 107 in the Studio Series. So as you can see, we still have the plastic-free packaging. There's no window here. You can reach right in and touch the figure. Over here you have some close-up artwork of the Scorpion mode, which I believe is the same artwork that's here on the front of the box, and the same artwork that's over here on this side of the box. I always think it's weird, too, that they just keep the Autobot symbol for pretty much every release, except I think the Constructicons from Revenge of the Fallen. I think that was the only time we got a new logo here. It would be fun if they could actually do the Decepticon logo. Not a big deal. But in any case, we have the Rise of the Beast logo there up top. Not really much going on down here on the bottom. And if we spin around to the back, we get some nice product shots of the Scorpion mode and the Robot mode. And of course, the little backdrop diorama scene that's included. So I'm going to go ahead and get Scorponok out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. Here is Scorponok with the little backdrop diorama that's included in the box. As you can see, it's kind of that clearing area where they kind of meet the Maximals for the first time, which is kind of strange because I really don't think Scorponok is in that scene. So kind of a strange choice. I would have picked the large battlefield at the end for the backdrop. What are you going to do? I mean, either way, it's a nice looking backdrop. I just don't think Scorponok was in that scene, so it's a weird pick. So here is Scorponok out of the packaging, and honestly, he's a lot more fun to fiddle with than I was expecting. I really like the head sculpt. It's kind of funny. The head is the same piece for both the Robot mode and the Scorpion mode. It literally just rotates up. But it looks good. I mean, you have some nice red paint there for the eyes. You have the little bit of the purple. Honestly, it's kind of giving me like movie Megatron vibes. A little bit of silver paint up here, which looks nice. Some nice gold and purple paint here in the abdomen. You actually get double jointed elbows, which is more important for the transformation, but still makes for nice articulation there. Down here, you have a little bit of this purple here as well, then some purple plastic down here for the actual toes. So just all in all, it's a fun little figure. Some nice silver paint up here on the shoulders. He does have a bit, he's got the kibble going on back here for the Scorpion legs. You have some options though. This is kind of how it comes in the packaging, but you can rotate these back a little bit if you would like to kind of clean it up as much as possible. It's a shame that there's no ball joint in here, because then you could kind of rotate these up. And if you had all four legs, you know, just kind of facing up as in the backpack, I think it would actually work fine, because I feel like you could rotate these up right here and then they could just stand right behind the other ones, and that would look kind of compact and concise. So it would have been nice to get an extra ball joint there. You do kind of have one here, as you can see. So if we just could have, even just a swivel, if it couldn't be a ball joint. We got him in these legs, but not down here, so that's kind of a bummer. But all in all, I think he's a cool little figure. He's definitely more fun than I was expecting, and I like the look of him. He does have his tail, which is a rather large accessory. Again, some nice purple paint and silver paint here, looking very sharp. And this has two hinges in it here. You can see there's a pin here and a pin here, so that can move around. And then you have a tiny little nub down here that can rotate. So you have two options for the tail. First off, we can pop it onto his hand. So if you bend this 90 degrees, and then this is going to peg in here on the inside of the forearm, like that. And then you can actually take the hand and kind of line it up so it fits in this little hole right here. And then it kind of looks far more integrated. It almost kind of looks like, you know, his arm is transforming into the tail weapon, which is kind of cool. I like that. It's a simple little detail to kind of have the hand just kind of naturally slot into the tail there, but still securely peg in on the forearm. I like that quite a bit. And yeah, it's just kind of a cool, you know, whip-like flailing weapon, which I think is kind of a neat idea. Now, of course, you can also take the tail if we remove this, and then we pop this back into the original position. You can peg it in down here on the back. And when you do that, this will kind of naturally peg forward. You can see like you want to push that all the way in, so that this can tab right in here, and then he just kind of has a tail. So if you just want him to have a normal tail in robot mode, you can absolutely do that, and I'll leave that there for now because that's where we're going to put it in Scorpion mode as well. But yeah, you can have him have a tail and swing around, you know, whip enemies down with that, or you can use it as a melee weapon. So you have a few options there. Now, in terms of articulation, the head is on kind of a series of hinges. So There's a hinge all the way back here in this part of the like back / neck area. And now there is technically a ball joint here at the base of the skull, but because of the way the skull is molded, it kind of prohibits this from turning around all that much. I mean, you can do it a little bit side to side, but mostly you're going to get the up and down movement. You can see you can look very far up because this is essentially what he's going to look like in the Scorpion mode. But otherwise, you could push it all the way down to the chest if you wanted to, but I feel like you're kind of naturally kind of stop it about there. He can look a little bit side to side, but really not much. It's mostly 2 hinges. So kind of a restricted ball joint there at the base of the skull. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder. You can see them very clear as day right there. So you can get that range of motion. Now, of course, the shoulder pad is going to start to hit into the body eventually, but you can still get a pretty decent range of motion there. All the way around is no problem. You do have a bicep swivel. Again, I mentioned those double jointed elbows, which again, more important for the transformation, but perfectly utilizable. Is that a word? If not, I made it up. In the robot mode. And then you can see that there's a ball joint there for the wrist, so you can spin that around, no problem. Move it up and down. Nice range of motion there. Now you can see that there's kind of a connection down here in the back and waist area, but there is still a waist rotation right below that, so that's nice. You have a ball joint here in the hip, so you can kick pretty far forward, decently back until if you have the tail pegged in, it kind of stops a little early, but you can also kind of pop it out to the side and then pop it further back. And then, of course, you can kick out to the side as well. You have a thigh swivel there, 90 degrees here in the knee. And then you have this kind of weird ball joint down here for the ankles. So it's kind of like this front part of the toe, and then you have these big heels, which are nice and help him stand. But they're pretty much rigid, so you can move the toe around here all you want on this ball joint. But overall, like I said, I think he's fun. You know, he's not the most complex robot mode, and now I'm disconnecting his chest. I'm trying to think if this is supposed to... I know this clips in there. I don't think that's supposed to tuck in any further. But yeah, it's a fun little robot mode. I really like the shoulder pads. Oh, now his tail's going to make him fall over here. I'll bring the tail down. And you can utilize that, obviously, for stability, so he won't fall over. But honestly, he kind of just, like, with the tail down and everything like this, he looks like an Ultraman kaiju or something to me. It's kind of cool. Like, that's the kind of vibes I'm getting from him. And I like it a lot. Honestly, I really like this robot mode. I think it's cool. My only complaint, I wish, again, we could move these legs, because if I could just have them stand vertically up here, you know, it would even kind of add to like a spiky motif, almost like kind of like Godzilla spikes, which could be really cool. It's just a real shame that you just have to have these legs sticking out like that. That's kind of a bummer, because otherwise, if they were vertical, I think this would be a perfect little robot mode. I really like it quite a bit. I like the claw hands. I like the shoulder pads. I like the head sculpt. I like having the tail on the back. I also like having it as a melee weapon. He stands pretty fine once you get a good pose. I mean, I'm not even utilizing the heels here, and the tail's not even touching the ground, but he's still really... I mean, I guess he's balanced on just this one heel, just here. And I'm not having any issues whatsoever, so I really like it. I like this robot mode quite a bit. But let's go ahead. We'll get into the transformation for his Scorpion mode. So as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have the tail attached, you can go ahead and attach it now. It's not really going to get in the way of anything. The transformation is very basic, I'll be honest with you. You're going to take that head and you're going to push it all the way up like I mentioned previously, and that's just going to hang out there. You're going to take the hands and you're going to rotate them at the bicep and then rotate the hand like this, because what you're going to do, and this is actually kind of really cool, you're going to utilize that double elbow joint to bring the hands up, and the fingers will fit in between the blades on the shoulder and just kind of really compress down and just kind of perfectly hide there. And I think that's kind of cool. I don't know why, but it works well. It's simple, and it's just a neat little place to just kind of perfectly hide those hands. So we're going to do that again over on this side. bring this up and just kind of pop that in there, push this as tight as you can, and that's where they'll just hide. And that's kind of neat. I don't know why I like that so much, but I do. Then we're going to come and we're going to unhook that chest like you saw earlier and lift this up. And then that's going to allow us to pop these out and up. So you can see that it's packed in there, and you're just going to pull it out like that. Then you're going to collapse the waist section in. You can see how there's a double jointed hinge in there. So pop that in there. You're going to take these pieces and just extend them down like this. And then you can see that there are these tabs on the back of the legs right here and here. And they are going to tab into these slots right there and there. So you're just going to kind of take this and just kind of rotate it ever so slightly at that thigh swivel. And just pop them into those little spots. And then once that's done, you're just going to drop this back down. Just like so. You're going to take, you can see there's a ball joint here. You're going to rotate this 180 degrees. And then there's a pin right here where you're going to just flip this around. And you can see that there's a tab there. And there's a tab slot in here. So this is just going to flip around and peg in. And that's going to become the back scorpion leg. So doing that again over here. Rotate the ball joint 180 degrees. And then just flip this around. Peg that in, and then just kind of position it, and we'll play with it a little bit more later. But those are your back scorpion legs. The middle scorpion legs, you guessed it, are right here. This whole section is just going to flip down on this hinge, and then you can kind of play with this. These individual sections can pop up, and then kind of rotate this around and, you know, find the angle you like for the scorpion legs. So bring this whole section down, and then just kind of rotate this and play with this as you like to find the angle that you want. And that's pretty much it. You're just going to kind of move these around to be the front claws. And there is your scorpion mode. So like I said, just kind of play with it a little bit to find the angle you like for the scorpion legs. But otherwise, that is pretty much it. So it's kind of a basic scorpion mode, but I think it works. I mean, honestly, the legs here, I wish had a little bit more articulation. You do have these segments, you know, kind of bending individually, which is nice. But I do really wish still, even for this mode, we had that swivel here for this middle leg. You just kind of have to find the right angle for everything. But there you go. You have your 6 legs. You have your tail, which again has those 2 bends right here and right here. So you can do, you still can't really strike at an enemy because whenever they make these toys, and you can kind of push this up a little bit, but a scorpion's tail needs to be able to strike in front of it. Otherwise, if it's just striking into its back, it's not helping anybody. That's really only hurting itself. So I really wish that there was some more articulation to be able to get that stinger to the front, but they do this all the time with scorpion transformers. I don't know why. Really nice Predacon symbol here. I think that looks nice. And just the overall kind of bluish gray with the purple accents. I just think it works. It's a fun color scheme. Again, that scorpion head is exactly the same as the robot mode. The pincers could be better, honestly. You have kind of that ball joint here that you're utilizing, so you can do some funky things with them, but they don't really have like pincer claws. They just have this half of the claw. It would almost be better if you could take this and switch it to the other side so that the hand could be the other part of the pincer claw. I still think this is really cool, and I like how that kind of dovetails in perfectly like that. But I think it would have been better. Now, again, this would 100% be in the way, so there's not really a way to do that. But if it was more so that the hand could come on this side and be the other part of the pincer claw, I think that would work better. But unfortunately, this is just kind of a scorpion with claws as opposed to, like, well, I guess more traditional pincer claws. This is just kind of stabbing claws, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, not a ton of articulation in this mode. You do have, like, this little bit of movement here. You have a pin here, so you can bend this a little bit. And again, you have that ball joint there. These are kind of one solid piece at this point. Again, this leg can move a little bit. You have the hinges here, and then you have pretty much this ball joint and this ball joint. I mean, honestly, now that I say it aloud, it's more articulation than you'd expect, plus the 2 points in the tail. But I just feel like you wouldn't use it. Like, I just feel like you'd put this guy like this. You know, it's not like you're going to try to pose him moving the individual little legs as he scurries across. You like, yes, I guess technically it has it, but it's not articulation that you'd really want to utilize, if that makes sense. But all in all, I think he's fun. I do kind of like the design. I like the colors, and I think they've even said there's going to be repaints of this guy. In the movie, I believe, because I was trying to look and say, like, I don't remember him being purple. They all had, like, hues to them. I think there was, like, a blue one, a purple one, an orange one, so I'm sure we're going to get repaints of this. Also, we saw in listings recently the name Double Punch, which is apparently a Scorpion Action Master, so that's more than likely going to be a repaint of this guy. And I mean, these could be fun to army build, honestly, if you could get them cheap enough. I don't think, you know, it's a terrible mold or anything. I think it would be fun to have a couple of these, especially in different hues. I think that could work. I mean, it's a decent looking Scorpion. I just wish the claws were a little better. Honestly, the little head doesn't even bother me. I thought it would. It doesn't really. Also, just for some scale, here is... Let me zoom out here. Here is Studio Series Wheeljack fighting off the Scorpion hordes of one. There you go. Just for some scale. I mean, honestly, I think you could make a pretty cool diorama scene if you had a couple of these. Position the Autobots and the Maximals around fighting them off. I think that could actually be pretty cool. Honestly, Scorponok is a heck of a lot more fun than I expected him to be. When I first saw pictures online, I thought it looked a little wonky. I definitely didn't remember this much purple, and I know that they didn't really have robot modes in the movie. They were kind of just cannon fodder, but when I kind of went back and looked, there's some with kind of an orangish hue, purplish, bluish hue, and it kind of reminded me of those little arachnid guys, the drones from, was it Transformer Cybertron? I think it was called Rumble, if I'm not mistaken. So it definitely gave me that kind of vibe where it would be fun to kind of army build, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of each color and set up like a pretty cool diorama of the Autobots and the Maximals fighting these guys off at the end of the movie. Something like that could be really cool. But yeah, I mean, he's got good articulation, good paint applications, transformations, not super simplistic, but certainly not complicated. So you can kind of transform him back and forth pretty quickly. Definitely liking the robot design. It's definitely giving me like Ultraman Kaiju vibes. My only real complaint is I definitely wish that you could rotate these up. I wish there was a swivel right here so we could have all the legs up on the back to kind of get them out of the way. But that's really it. Otherwise, I think he's fun. And I got this at Target. Actually, it was on the Target app. It was $18.99. And when I was in store the other day, it looks like they've actually reduced the price point for Deluxes and I think Voyagers as well. For the Studio Series only, it seems. From $25 or $24.99 down to $19.99. And I think Voyagers are down, I want to say, maybe $29.99 or maybe even $27. I don't remember exactly how much the Voyagers were. But it was a significant price drop for both. And I thought that was really cool. And I'm excited about it because that's, I mean, you know, 25% off kind of right off the top. So that's great. So if you could get a couple of these for around $20 a piece, I think definitely army builder potential. Yeah, I'm having fun with him. Like I said, is he a perfect figure? No. But is he kind of stupid fun? Yeah, he kind of is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.